one thing I found at some point, I was like, well, the quality of liquidity comes from the market makers' incentives that you put in place. So for a loan option model, how do you incentivize them, like, or the KPIs that are in place? It is not particularly that significantly better algorithms, do a better job. It's one example of this is that we're working with that project and we audit this, and like the loan option model market makers will literally they can improve the quality of liquidity, but why would they? Because by doing so they make less profit. So they can do it because they're fast enough, but like they will not do it unless there's an incentive to do so. So you got to structure those things very well, so they will actually, you get a better market and better liquidity. It's kind of like a game you're playing. You got to put KPIs in place. If there's enough competition, they will increase the quality of liquidity because they want to get more volume. So what do you actually negotiate in a loan option model? This is how you should look at it. So a couple things you can do, and I think the first one is probably one of the most important ones. When you're negotiating a loan option model, think about how much are we giving them in terms of dollars or the percentage of the supply. It is normal to give them anywhere between 1 to 3% or 1 to 4%. But how much is that in dollars? And to be fair, they don't need that money. Like in the example, the market maker doesn't need $180,000 of the token in order to market make. They're not going to use everything in this case. So ideally get as low as possible so you don't risk as much. Well, this might change the whole negotiation phase. KPIs, spread, and depth, especially depth, 2% depth, or even half or 1. You got to negotiate it down. Put it in a KPI with uptime on those KPIs. Not a general like statement of like if it's economically viable. No, you got to put something in place that backs yourself up. Otherwise, they can just be like, well, market didn't look good. We didn't do anything. Strike prices as high as possible. Of course, the market maker also needs to make money somehow. And that's what I mean. If they can make money off the trading fees, because there's a lot of volume, because there's millions of dollars flowing through your market and they make tiny little profits, well, they don't need to make money of these strike prices. And you can negotiate really good terms, but you need millions of dollars of volume before you can get good terms. And it's the same with getting VC funding in, right? Like the better your fundamentals, the more volume, well, the better terms you're going to get. And it's the same here with loan option model agreements. You just got to have a strong project. And you might not be strong enough at launch, but later on you will, in order to get good terms. So duration, maybe the longer might be more risky. What I'm saying that is about that in 2 years' time, your price might be 9x rather than 3x in a year. So there's also a risk involved in that. And I think reporting, well, you need minimally over time a dashboard or something that shows what is actually happening and how do they perform in terms of those KPIs. And if you have a loan option model, I'm happy to give you some, analytic for some time and then check it out and do an audit to see what's actually happening. But ideally, the market maker does this for you. And this is another important one because it's in the money at TGE or in the money at launch. What I mean with that is like sometimes these deals are structured, especially for smaller projects, where X%, where 30% is already in the money, meaning they can just offload the tokens to get the dollars. And then they'll put dollars on the book. So they'll first dump your token because what they can do is they say, let's say you launch at $1 and 40% is in the money at TGE. Well, they can just offload 40% at $1 without any risk, dump the price in that sense, and they have the right to buy it back for $1. Well, if the price continues to tank, they just buy it back significantly lower and make money. They can make, like with these models, they can make money on the upside and downside. Because if they dump the token first and then it continues to dump and they buy back 50% lower, they still bought lower and sold way higher. This one is a little bit more complicated to understand, but you don't want, especially if the strike price are higher, you don't want any of the funds unlocking right at TGE at the current price. That means they can just dump it straight away. I'll definitely say take a screenshot of this, and if you chat with someone on a loan option model, go through these and be like, hey, this is what I've been told in a webinar. I need to have these things, and ask them, how are you going to make sure that you have enough depth on the book? And they might fumble a little bit. Like, I would love to get pretend to be a project and talk to one of the loan option model market makers and see what they say about it, because I have my doubts in it.